Hello, welcome back to the fruit of Grisaia. Well, this is my room. Mane barges in like she owns the place, no longer even bothering to knock, but I'm already getting used to it, I guess. Probably because I've experienced a lot of emergency summons. It didn't get to me that much in the first place.
7時になったら私の部屋にご飯食べにおいでって言ったでしょ。夕食の用意してマキナと待ってたのになんで来ないかな。
As she speaks, I notice that Amane is holding a plate piled with crab legs in her hands.
実家からカニが届いたから食べにおいでって言ったじゃんさ。
I do recall such an event. I also recall responding, if I'm in the mood, not that I'd definitely be there. Yes, but I said that you and Makina should go ahead and eat if I didn't show up on time.
何？あんたもカニ嫌いなの？
Not really.
腹を剥いて食べるのがめんどくさいでしょ。マキナも同じこと言うのよね。剥いてあげれば食べるくせにさ。剥いてあげれば剥いてあげたであの子、これぞザッツカニパンでしょとか言いながらパンに挟んで食べるのよ。基本的に物の価値が分かっていないっていうか、挙句には言うにこと書いてかまぼこの方がうめえなって失礼しちゃうわよ。
Probably just means that Makina places more importance on how easy it is to eat. Honestly, I think I'd go for crab paste over crab myself.
何よ、張り合いのない子たちね。世の中には食べたくても食べられない子がたくさんいるのよ。
That's certainly true.
分かったのなら文句を言わず食べなさい。腹向いてあげるから。
Look, I wasn't really complaining, and I can take care of the shell on my own.
っていうか、私が来なかったら何を食べるつもりだったの？ご飯は炊いてあるんだ。でもこれいつ炊いたの？なんかカチカチ。
Hey, hands off. Mare's wandered off into my kitchen and is examining things as she pleases. After confirming the contents of my mess kit cooker, she opens the door to my refrigerator and starts taking stock of my supplies.
食べかけの缶詰の残りと魚肉ソーセージとマヨネーズにレタスとチンゲン菜。何これ？たくあんの缶詰？こんなのどこで売ってるのよ。っていうか、いつ開けたの？
I opened it at lunch. Get off my back. Why is it that this feels strangely embarrassing? It's not like I have anything troublesome in the fridge. In the first place, where does she get off calling canned radish? This thing, it's well known among canned food connoisseurs as almost decent and pretty much edible. Is this woman looking down on the brave men and women who have gained courage from canned food throughout the years? Oh. As I silently burn with righteous indignation, Amane brazenly starts running tap water into my rice cooker. Hey, what do you think you're doing?
だってこのままじゃご飯がカチカチだし、一回水 水で戻すのよ。
I don't care if it's hard. Probably because I'm used to eating canned stuff that comes out arid and stiff as a wax candle. I'm pretty tolerant of tough food. I don't care, but what are you planning?
カニチャーハン作ってあげる。あんたはおとなしく座って待ってなさいな。
Well, I suppose pretty much anyone can handle fried rice, especially for a woman. The somewhat prejudiced assumption is that you'll have a basic skill like that. Fact is, out of all the women I've met so far, the only one who couldn't make edible fried rice was my master. Still, I can't quite hide a certain anxiety. Not that Amane is paying any attention, humming to herself as she cracks open the eggs. After shaking salt and pepper onto the eggs, she mixes in the lightly rinsed rice. Then adds bits of crab meat, only about half of what she brought, and finally chopped radish. She heats a frying pan coated with mayonnaise rather than oil, adds the lettuce and spinach she plundered from my fridge, and throws in the rice mixture according to her own timing. Sticking the back of her ladle into the mix, she vigorously clatters it around the frying pan, messily stir-frying the food. When Amani decides it's done, she uses the bowl as a mold to form the fried rice into a perfect hemisphere, then tosses it onto the plate. This wouldn't look out of place in a Chinese restaurant.
そして最後に
Dressing the leftover crab meat with mustard and mayo, she drops it with a thud on top of the heap of fried rice on the plate.
Hi! お待たせ!
So she says, but it hasn't even been 10 minutes since Amani started to cook. The imposing pile of steaming fried rice on my plate looks pretty impressive for something cobbled together out of leftovers and in such a short time.
Yuuka, この部屋もっと大きいテーブルないの? なんかお皿とかも少ないし、今度来るとき持ってこようか?
Not necessary. I've got what I need. The table is a small coffee table for one that Sachi dragged out of some storeroom as a stopgap measure. And the frying pan and wood tableware I have are things I picked out carelessly at local 100 yen in hardware stores. But since I'm living alone, it's all perfectly adequate. No point in getting more dishes when I'm only eating off one. Just means more things to wash.
確かに洗い物は溜め込んでないみたいだけど。
Noticing something as she speaks, Amani returns to the kitchen and starts to rustle through a plastic bag in the corner. Yeah. I've been throwing my empty oolong tea bottles in that bag, and before I knew it I had something of a pile, but I was uncertain about the timing to throw them out. With well-practiced movements, she peels off the labels, removes the caps, and skillfully cuts off their plastic rings with the tip of a kitchen knife. Finally, she lightly rinses and bottles themselves with tap water. The bottles themselves with tap water. Okay. Judging from the smooth motion of her hands, she's repeated this often enough to gain the mastery of an assembly line worker. Clearly, she's something of an eco-friendly woman.
じゃあ私部屋に戻るけど、食べ終わったらちゃんとお皿は洗い桶につけておいてね。後で洗いに来るから。
No, I can take care of that much myself. Sorry for the hassle.
いいのよ。ちゃんとこういうこともできるって見せておかないと、ただのエッチなお姉さんだと思われちゃうしね。
With a quick goodbye, Amane heads out of the room, not waiting for my impressions of the crap fried rice. I had the idea that a busybody woman like her would be more likely to hang over my shoulder pestering me for compliments, but she just popped in all of a sudden, cooked for me in a flash, and then left just as quickly. It might be the influence of dealing with that whimsical machina all the time. Let's eat. Unfortunately, I don't have a Chinese spoon in this room, so I'll have to make do with the standard Western variety. I jab my spoon into the mountain of steaming fried rice and quickly throw some into my mouth. Not bad at all. Even someone as disinterested in food as me can tell when something tastes good. The salt seasoning feels a bit thin, but this is probably how it should be if you're thinking about healthy sodium intake. Although it would be insulting to compare this to the crap my master made, it's also different from the stuff you get at a high-priced Chinese restaurant. It tastes like your standard fried rice. What's with this flavor? When I was living alone with my mother as a child, I remember eating fried rice that tasted like this. After finishing her day job, my mother would make me dinner before her night shift started. In the last week of the month before her paychecks came in, it would often be a pretty plain meal of fried rice. When all she could put on the table was fried rice with a bit of pink fish paste added, she would apologize as I ate. "I'm sorry, this is all we've got." Unlike the fried rice Amane just made, there was never anything extravagant like crab thrown in, and Amane's cooking skills seemed to be better as well. So why is it that they taste similar? Where's this slight melancholy coming from? Well, it doesn't matter as long as it's good. When I was a kid, anything I ate tasted good. That part of me hasn't changed too much. It's very dangerous to jump to conclusions about someone. When you make a judgment without sufficient information, you're going to be at least slightly off. Whether that's an over or underestimation, it clouds your perception and often comes back to bite you in the end. My employer is exactly the sort of organization that lives and dies by gathering accurate intelligence, and I heard a lot about its importance from my acid-tongued master as well. Therefore, I make a conscious effort not to label others prematurely. That said, Every time this Matsushima Michiru girl enters my field of vision, I find myself dying to stick exactly such a mental label on her. Yo, Michiru?
Yuuji!
I've been standing in front of you for a while now. Why are you acting like you just noticed?
仕方ないでしょ。今私集中してたんだから。あんたなんか目に入らなかったのよ。眼中になかったの。視界不良だったの。わかる？
I see. Understood. But that other lack of awareness might cost you your life someday. Please make sure to look both ways for cars before you cross the road.
うるさい。バカ。
I offered an appropriate warning given your actions. Why the verbal abuse?
うるさいのうるさいの。あっち行けこの子の。
Michiru vigorously throws the empty paper carton she was holding at me. Flying into a fit of rage just because someone tells you something you don't want to hear isn't a good habit.
ユージなんか酸っぱくなれ。なれ。
Judging that I don't have a foothold in this conversation, I pick up the garbage Michiru hurled at me and temporarily withdraw from the scene. "100% vitamin C drink?" Reading out the description printed on the carton, I tilt my head in bemusement. I've seen plenty of 100% fruit juice drinks, but this is a new one. The parent company of this manufacturer is a pharmaceutical corporation. Maybe it's some sort of undiluted vitamin solution used in beauty products. Or maybe it's not meant literally, and they're just exaggerating to play up the fact that it's packed full of the stuff. Either way, it's a soft drink that emphasizes its vitamin C content above all else. Which means that it's probably incredibly sour and acidic. It must be torture to drink unless you've got a pretty strong tolerance for that sort of thing. So why was she drinking this stuff? From the look on her face, I don't think it was out of fondness for the taste. Some kind of self-flagellation, or maybe... Interrupting my thoughts, Sakaki stares at me suspiciously. Yo, if it isn't Yumin...
それが私のあだ名なのかどうか、その事実だけは聞いておこうかしら。
Calm down. If you lose your sense of humor, you won't be able to live a fun life.
別に楽しく生きるつもりもないわ。
I see. In that case, it wasn't a nickname. Slip of the tongue. Happy now?
本当に腹の立つ男ね。
Aggravating as I may be, Sakaki nonetheless approaches me.
手に何を持っているの？
This, it's an empty soft drink carton. That blonde girl was drinking it earlier.
どうしてそれをあなたが？まさかそういうのを集める趣味があるんじゃないでしょうね。
Is collecting this sort of thing as evil a hobby as that scowl implies? I'm interested. Please explain in detail.
検索サイトでも使えばいいでしょ。
For some reason, Sakaki is trembling with anger. Seems I still can't anticipate what will trigger this woman's wrath.
話を戻すけど、それ松島さんがいつも飲んでるやつよね。嫌そうな顔をして。
Right. I wanted to ask about that. Why is she drinking something she so plainly hates? Did she lose a bet? Is she being bullied? Was she placed under a malevolent spell?
あなたの思考ってなんというか0か10かしかないのね。
Alright, so correct me.
さあ、そこまでは私にはわからないわ。あの子とは深く関わったこともないし、そもそもクラスメートという以外の興味もない。
And yet I'm pretty sure you knew this was Michiru's carton before you asked.
あなたの底意地の悪さは字なの？それとも私に対してだけ？
I was just trying to explore an apparent logical inconsistency. The wrinkles in Sakaki's forehead grow deeper and her glare sharper. Apparently, there are some logical inconsistencies best left unexplored when she's around, specifically those concerning her contrary personality.
あの子、お菓子とかもよく食べてるみたいだし、いろいろな食べ物に興味があるんじゃないの？
Now that you mention it, it seems like she's always carrying those ramen candies around. I don't know how to
あ
say
なたの
that.
方こそ観察が細かいわね。松島さんに興味があるのかしら？
Are you interested in knowing whether I'm interested in Michiru?
あなたの前では余計なことを一切言わないように心がけるわ。それじゃあ。
With an extremely displeased expression, Yumiko leaves the roof. There sure are a lot of troublesome girls in this place. After spending a little time sharing a dorm with them, it's pretty obvious that everyone in this place has a few screws loose, and probably a few skeletons in the closet as well. Amani and Sakaki aren't easy to deal with in the first place, and there seems to be more to them than they're letting on. The same is probably true of Makina and Sachi. That said, when it comes to that bottle blonde girl, no matter how many times I try to look below the surface, I keep hitting rock bottom right away. If she's got any hidden depths, they're very well hidden. In other words, I've got a persistent suspicion that she's an idiot. Still, it's too early to label her. I should bide my time and get a better idea of her personality before reaching any conclusions. But seriously, now. What are you doing?
またあったの？何人のこと観察してんのよ。
I'm not spying on you. I just happened to be here. Leaving that aside, are you drawing the character of a person on your hand? That's a pretty stale superstition.
何言ってんのよ。これでいつ胸焼けを抑えられるんだから、放っておいてよね。
Heartburn and indigestion.
そうよ。これやるだけで治っちゃうんだから、すごいおまじないなのよ。あんたも真似したけりゃ真似すりゃいいわよ。
Sure, it might come in handy sometime.
その時は私に感謝しなさいよね。みちる様は便利な体をお持ちで羨ましいです。
I thought the drawing on your hand thing was supposed to calm you down before a big public speech or whatever. Since when did it become a replacement for a xylene sulfonate sodium? What?
その 成分については多分にして存じ上げませんが、ミチル様の体内がワンダーランドなのは疑いようのない事実です。
You're pretty cruel, Sachi.
何がひどいんですか？
Never mind.
ちょっとあまね、待ちなさいよ。うわっ、ミチル、どうしたの？昨日あまねに買ってきてもらったジュース、思いっきり賞味期限切れちゃってたわよ。嘘、それはちゃんとチェックしてるわよ。ありえないってば。本当よ、これ見てみなさいよ。ほら、5月3日って書いてあるでしょ。1ヶ月も？ちょっと貸してみて。何よ、別に責めたりしないわよ。ただ完璧主婦を演じるあなたにもこういう弱点があるということを認め、今年何年か言ってみなさいな。バカにして、今年は2012年でしょ。それが2011年です。え、そうだっけ？そうです。あ、じゃあそれ、その表示って？そうよ。ここに書いてある賞味期限2012年5月ってね。あと11ヶ月先だから賞味期限切れてるとか言いがかりなの。なのにあなた、夕飯の準備しなきゃ。あまねも悪かったわね、引き止めたりして。待てこら、人にしょうもない勘違いで疑いをかけたことについて謝罪しろ。逃げやがった。
Yo.
ユージ君、見てた？
Ever since your polite greeting of God toward your classmate.
あの子を何度も相手にしてたらそういう反応になるでしょ。
I think I can see where you're coming from. Pile enough of these cases together, and I can't help but bring my deadline for a conclusion forward. One day, the topic of Michiru comes up when we're all gathered together. Incidentally, the person in question is already in bed.
チルチルは宇宙人なのよさ。
A unique theory.
だから時々頭に銀紙を巻いて電波を受信しているのよ。
That effect?
チルチルを観察していればそのうちに見られるはず。
Although I have no intention of taking anything Makina says seriously, the scary thing is, when she says this about Michiru, it almost feels plausible. What, you have a thought about that?
独り言なんだからいちいち突っ込まないでくれる？
You were mumbling something interesting, so I was curious. Sorry. Please let me hear your delusions about Michiru, the ET, when you're in a better mood. Sorry if I rubbed you the wrong way, but try to keep in mind that I don't mean anything by it.
気に障らない言い方ができるよ。あなたも努力してくれないかしら。まあしかしあのおバカっぷりが今まで命に関わるところで発揮されなくてよかったわよね。もしかしたらオリジナルのミチル様はすでに生き絶え、現在のミチル様は全くの別人ということも。ごめんさっちゃん、さすがにそれは話が飛躍しすぎでしょう。そうですね、ミチル様ほどの頭加減なら自分が死んでしまったことにすら気づかないという可能性もありますから。それフォローになってないし。チルチルの中に 住んでいるのよさ。
A devil?
普段はあのおバカっぷりでカムフラージュしているけど、ひとたびそのベールを脱げば人の心を介さぬ悪魔が飛び出してみんなを一人一人血祭りにあげるのよさ。
What's the matter, Sakaki? Sounds like you suddenly caught your breath in fear.
私の行動に逐一突っ込まないでって言ったでしょ。あと詳細に説明するのもやめてちょうだい。
私もう寝る。なんだか怖くなってきちゃった。ってなんか寒くない今日。
そういえばちょっと冷え込んでますね。くしゃみが出る前に暖かくして寝ないと。
そんじゃおやすみなのよさ。お兄ちゃんもチルチルのことは忘れていい夢を見るのよ。
Is it really okay to just forget about her? The next morning, having finished my usual morning routine, I'm waiting for the others in the lobby. But for some reason, nobody's showing up. Everybody's late at once. Seems like a bit too much of a coincidence. The pattern so far has been Amane and Makina noisily arriving first, followed by Sachi and Michiru noisily arriving second, with Sakaki solemnly arriving last. The normally rowdy morning is bizarrely quiet today. Just as I'm thinking this, Amane appears around the corner on the hallway. She's hunched over, hiding the breast she's so proud of, her hair sticking up in places and her skin seems rough. You look bad, your beloved breasts are all shriveled. Of course, I'm just screwing with you. What kind of cold would cause breast to shrink? I haven't heard of one. Understood. I'll do my best. Where are the others? So we're waiting on the other three. As I speak, someone appears from around the corner. Sachi, the next to arrive, has an equally severe case of the sniffles. Her maid uniform is disabled, bringing to mind certain cheap Japanese prawn.
僕ないです。メイドとしてあるまじき体調管理の不甲斐なさで、世が世なら自害もやむを得ないくらいではないかと。
I don't think there were many historical periods where catching a cold was punishable by that, Sachi.
風見さんもおはようございます。で、他の方は
This is all of us so far. Makina's unconscious in her room. Sakaki. Just as I was speaking, I hear the sound of dragging footsteps from around the corner. It's obvious from a look at Yumika's face that she's in bad shape herself. She must be pretty out of it, since she hasn't noticed that her socks are strangely bunched up at the toe. Her hair is a mess too, with loose strands bouncing around with every step. Mind if I ask when I'm supposed to be leaving?
ろいろと突っ込みたいんでしょ。でも何も言わなくていいから、私への興味質問を他に向けてくれないかしら。
Understood. I won't comment on your bunched up socks or those straight hairs you've got all over the place.
体調が元に戻ったら許さないから。
Yuriko's forehead creases in the usual way as she straightens her hair and fixes her socks. But the powerful aura of rage that normally accompanies her scowls isn't there.
ユージ君は平気なの？
Staying healthy is part of my job.
そうなると体調が万全なのは風見さんと。
そういえば今日はまだ見かけないわね。
At the very moment, everyone was imagining a certain face.
だらしないわね、あんたたち。
Michiru dramatically appears in the hallway as if she'd been lying in wait for the right moment to make her grand entrance. Probably because she had, in fact, been lying in wait for the right moment to make her grand entrance. She jabs a finger out at us in an apparent attempt at an impressive pose.
季節の変わり目だし気をつけなきゃダメでしょ。案の定揃いも揃って体調崩してるなんて実医楽もいいとこだわ。
I'm not sick. Also, did you mean negligent?
本当にあんたたち実医楽ね、実医楽。
Ignoring me in her own poor grasp of the language, Michiru continues to harp on the negligee group.
元気だけが取り柄みたいなメンツなのに風邪ひいてバカみたいに鼻ずるずる言わしちゃって情けないわね。
あなたに言われたくないわよ。
Likewise, ignoring Sakaki's crankiness, Michiru reaches into the pouch she's carrying, takes out a variety of boxes and plastic pouches, and places them on the common room table.
ほら、ちゃんと薬とかインスタントのおかゆとか用意したから、各自持って帰ってさっさと治すこと。いいわね。今日は反論できない。
ありがたくいただきますね、みちる様。
感謝してもいいのよ。つか、感謝しなさいよね。
In truly rare spectacle, the group obediently follows Michiru's orders. The girl seems overjoyed, almost disturbingly so.
こういう時、なぜかあの子だけ元気なのよね。
This has happened before?
なぜか風邪ひかないのよ、松島さんだけ。一時は本気で一服盛られてるんじゃないかって疑ったこともあったわ。
Poisoning?
何を考え込んでいるのかしら。
You may not be too far off with that hypothesis. It's just that you aren't the ones being poisoned here.
は
しかし見事に私だけ風邪ひかないわね。なんでなんだろう。
Michiru tilts her head in honest puzzlement. A daily vitamin C intake on the level of a self-poisoning, a sleep and activity schedule like that of a great schooler, and a naturally tranquil, vacant mind. Combining all of these factors, it's no wonder she doesn't get sick often.
まあ、いっか。ほらほら、由美子もぼーっとしてないで。早く取るもの取って部屋に戻りなさいよ。
言われなくてもそうするわよ。
All their words sound defiant. Sakaki also immediately takes advantage of Michiru's kindness. Even if her willpower has been weakened by the cold, it doesn't seem like the Sakaki I know. I see. I've gotten something of a new perspective on this girl. Honestly, there's no mistaking the fact that she's an idiot, but without a doubt, she's a necessary idiot for this place. Among this strangely precocious bunch, Michiru is a complete outlier in her lifestyle patterns and thought processes. I guess her presence actually helps balance out the group in a way.
こういう梅王子がね。
ああ、あまねが持ってっちゃったのね。わかったわ。じゃあ後で部屋に持っていくから薬だけ持って戻りなさい。
うん、わかったわ。
ユミコも存分に感謝するがいいわ。あ、いや、その感謝してもいいのよ。
Above all, I'm seriously surprised by the way something vaguely resembling friendly feeling seems to be temporarily present between her and this box cutter woman. Sakaki's apparent interest in Michiru also seems to hint at some sort of positive emotion. Michiru might have some sort of mysterious charm in her own right.
ちょっとユージ、
What?
あんたもボサッとしてないで風もらわないようにマスクするとかしなさいよね。ほら、ここに用意しといたから立体マスク。
Yeah, I'll take one. Taking the mask Michiru thrusts out at me, I return to my room. There are parts of people you can't judge from a unified perspective. Trivial as it might seem, I picked up another bit of knowledge at this school. Several days after the cold incident in the dormitory, once again, I encounter Michiru drinking something sour in the lobby. From the way she's writhing in agony, she doesn't seem to have gotten used to it in the least. Why are you so caught up on drinking sour things? You don't seem to enjoy them. Do you enjoy making yourself miserable? If this is just one facet of a deeper masochistic fetish, I'll have to demonstrate a certain level of acceptance and understanding.
うっさいわね。こうやってビタミン C を摂取すれば頭が良くなるのよ。あんたそんなことも知らないの？
What? Who published a thesis like that and where? I like to think I have a basic familiarity with the benefits of vitamins, at least. Vitamin C's effects are so famous that I'm actually surprised to hear anyone was still researching it.
論文？それはわかんないけど、ほら、イワシとかマグロの頭とかそういうのに入ってるの聞いたことあるでしょ？ビタミン C が。
Sardines, the head of tuna? Sardines, tuna, and a positive effect on the intellect. I think I get it.
何よ、今さら気づいたってあげないからね。私はあんたよりも絶対に頭良くなって見返してやるんだから。
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
何さ、その余裕の表情。教えられる立場になった時に初めて後悔するがいいわよ。
Unfortunately, judging from the way she's confusing vitamin C with DHA, that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But to explain her mistake here and now would be too cruel. I'm sure she'll naturally discover the truth herself someday. Well, you may not be capable of teaching me much at the moment, but I'm counting on you to help me out if I get sick. Don't worry about it. You just keep up the vitamin C intake and regular sleep patterns for everyone's sake. Spitting out a venerable tsundere stock phrase as her parting shot, Michiru stalks off. I don't stick labels on people prematurely. But regarding the girl named Matsushima Michiru, in consideration of various events leading up to and including the current case, I have arrived at a certain conclusion. This girl is, in fact, an idiot. Probably because I've been living in a world where maintaining a decidedly realist perspective is a matter of necessity. I've never felt any interest in the paranormal or occult phenomena. Such stories are often frauds, created to prey on the weaknesses of human nature, and more fundamentally, I've never found any meaning in the idea of the supernatural. But in my workplace, where human lives are frequently given and taken, these sorts of rumors aren't uncommon. Even a disinterested party like me has absorbed more stories than I can count on both hands. When he got back, he went delirious with fever. His limbs grew numb and eventually totally immobile. When a doctor examined him, they couldn't find any cause for his condition. They threw in the towel and left him to rot in bed. No, that's what really happened, and he died a month later. I don't tell lies, even white lies. He's dead. Left me a little something in his will. Compared to the reasonably calm Sachi and Makina, Michiru is in a state of serious terror. Mina's expression is also strangely cramped. From the way her Kansai accent is leaking out, I'd say she's not quite unaffected herself. Don't know. He wasn't that healthy to start out with, so there's a good chance he just picked up some illness that I killed him. Yeah. Michiru clamps her hands over her ears and thrashes around, moaning like a wild animal. Though the course of her evolution seems to have reached a new stage, this isn't the time to study that hypothesis. Were you that scared? Sorry.
違うわよ。怖くなんかないわよ。びっくりしたのよ。怖いのよ。
みちる様、落ち着いてください。結論が時計の針のごとく元通りに。
だってマジじゃんこいつ。普通は気を使ってもうちょい緩い話にするのに、容赦一切なしで優しさかけらもないし。
まあいいじゃないか。チルチルがここで恐怖のあまり失禁したとしても、みんな何事もなかったかのように振る舞う優しさは用意しているのよさ。
失禁しねえよ。あとそれ優しさじゃないから、残酷だから構え。
Understood. If and when Michiru repeats herself, I promise to pay close attention.
すんなよ。
At any rate, my story's over, so let's stop for now. There are 5 candles in front of us. I blow out the flame on the last one that's still burning.
Hi. お疲れ様でした、皆様。
Sachi turns on the lights and begins to clean up the candles. After dinner, for some reason, we all ended up telling scary stories in the lobby. It was a standard campfire-style ghost stories round, with everyone frightening the rest. Maybe the lukewarm summer night made for a good atmosphere as everybody got into it.
なんだかんだ言って最後のユージ君のが一番怖かったわ。
風見さんの話は虚飾がない分だけ本物っぽく聞こえましたしね。
Well, it's not fiction.
ちょっとやめてよ。最後は嘘でしたで終わっておくのがせめてもの優しさってもんでしょ。
If I told you it was just a story now, would you believe me?
信じるわよ。ちゃんと言うなら信じるから。
Alright, got it. That story about the tunnel was all a lie. Also, my coworker's alive and kicking.
え、あ、やっぱ無理。信じられないわよ。なんとかしてよ。洗脳してよ。そういう機会持ってきてよ。
I think they get off after a few minutes with your brain. Ignoring Michiru's hysterics, everyone starts to head back to their rooms. At this point, I realize something's been a bit odd about tonight. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Sakaki. The others pause at my words, then turn back around with thoughtful expressions on their faces.
そういや、今日は見かけなかったわね。さっちゃん見た？
いえ、今日は学校では見かけましたが、寮では見た記憶がありません。私はちらっと見たけど、すぐに部屋へ引っ込んじゃったから、その後はわかんないのよさ。
Maybe she didn't want to deal with us in a group. Given Sakaki's personality, I can't imagine her voluntarily participating in this sort of social event. My guess would be that she just shut herself up in her room, since she couldn't avoid running into our gathering if she went downstairs.
いや、あの子って別にそこまでこういうイベント嫌いじゃないわよ。
Really?
まあ積極的に参加してるかというとそうでもないけどね。 でも参加しておかなきゃって意志みたいなのはあると思う。
Amani nods at Michiru's words.
そうね。普段みんながここで集まってる時も、あそこに背中くっつけて立ったままで話聞いてたりするもんね。
She points to a pillar on the edge of the lobby and the hallway.
はい。だから今日この場にいないことは比較的異変のように感じます。
I see.
ユミちゃんは分かりやすいテンプレみたいなクーデレだから照れてんのよさ。お兄ちゃんがちょっとスケベ心出して突っ込んだら、だってそんな恥ずかしいじゃないって速攻落ちるに決まってるのよさ。
はい。それぐらいの対応はあってしかるべきではないかと思います。榊さんは精巧なロボットのように的確なクーデレぶりを常時発揮されますし、今回の一件もそれに起因するものであるのはもはや明白であると思われます。
私なんか今すごくユミコに同情しちゃったわ。
同情？なんで？ひょっとしてチルチルも分かりやすい属性持ち同士、その辺は分かり合える部分があるとか、そういうの？同族意識？チームプレイ？なあ、顔背けてねえで言うのよさ。
うっせえ。あんたのそういう必要ないじりに同情するって言ってんでしょうが。
大きな声を出さないでください、みちる様。急に大声を出すとお体に触ります。私は無鉄砲に生きるみちる様が心配でなりません。
サチもなんかなそういうの。
As I watch Makina, whose abusive tongue and nasty personality are growing more pronounced, Sachi, whose cyborg-like reactions are growing more dramatic, and Michiru, who's growing more victimized by the day. I find myself growing a little curious about Sakaki's way of life. Come to think of it, since that box cutter incident was resolved a few days ago, I don't remember exchanging anything but very basic communications with her. I don't intend to pry too deeply, but for the sake of a smooth school life from this point on, it might be a good idea to learn a little more about her. Hey, there's something I want to ask you guys. Do you have a few minutes? When you're being followed by this many people, of course you're going to notice. Yesterday evening, I tried lightly asking the others about Sakaki's daily life and habits. But the answers I received in return provided much flimsier information than I had expected. The one thing we know about Sakaki Yumiko is that she doesn't let people see much about herself, much less her private life. Our only real glimpses of her thoughts are hints from her gestures and body language. In short, Sakaki's lifestyle is a vaguely defined mystery, even to the people she's been living with. Without an active effort at observation, things are likely to stay that way. Probably 80% out of idle curiosity, Makina and Sachi ended up volunteering to cooperate with my investigation. That cooperation has taken the form of an incredibly sloppy tailing operation that was nearly given away in a matter of seconds. To be honest, they're nothing but a burden, Machina in particular. I asked the wrong people.
どうかしたのよ。
No, forget it. If things get bad, it's every man for himself. Putting aside any reflection on the basic question of why we're doing this for later, we continue our investigation of the highly mysterious Sakaki. Lying limply on her side of the sofa in the lobby, Machina mumbles a few grammatically scrambled words of complaint.
結局何一つ分かりませんでしたね。
Sachi flops down next to me, having a tired sigh herself. Oh, heaving a tired sigh herself. Well, her guard was even tighter than anticipated. After spending an entire day following Sakaki's every movement outside of class, we gained absolutely no new information. During her free periods, she reads books in absorbed silence. Her pace in school was always steady and regular, without any suspicious hasty movements. Just as Machina says, Sakaki's behavior was reminiscent of a machine.
はい、あれではまるでサイボーグのように思います。
You're one to well, whatever, you're not wrong. But I don't think I can be satisfied with this. From what I heard yesterday, Sakaki doesn't dislike being in a group with the others. Even if she doesn't participate in the conversation, the way she's constantly lingering at the edge is easily comprehensible from the perspective of human psychology. That doesn't fit with her machine-like actions in the daytime. In the first place, does she ever let her emotions show on her face? Apart from the hostility Sakaki showed me at first, I haven't seen any evidence of an emotional reaction from her.
そういえば、喜怒哀楽とはちょっと違うのですが。
Sachi raises her hand and speaks somewhat hesitantly.
榊さんがびっくりしているところを見たことならあります。
Startled. Sakaki, it doesn't seem like she bat an eyelid even if the dorm exploded under her. What kind of surprise got a reaction out of her? In response to my question, Sachi continues in slightly hushed tones.
榊さんにはかなり不本意な話だと思うのですが、そのカップ焼きそばをですね。
Instant yakisoba?
はい、おヤングのソース焼きそばです。湯切り楽々ホールが標準搭載、熱湯3分。
Not interested in the brand name or product features. What does it have to do with Sakaki?
あのカップ焼きそばって湯切りをするじゃないですか。お湯を捨てた時にシンクが熱湯に反応してボンって音を立てるのわかります？
True, it'll make a sound if you dump it all at once.
はい、それで同じことを榊さんがして、
焼きそばが仕方ない。
榊さん、これそのままで、私は後片付けをして帰ってきました。
Sakaki did that? With that cool and calm appearance, you'd never think she'd be startled by something as small as that. In reality, she must have a pretty low tolerance for sudden scares. I kind of want to see that side of Sakaki. But I'm not particularly likely to run into her at the exact moment she's draining her instant noodles, and given Sakaki's personality, I doubt she'll make the same mistake twice anyway. Although I wouldn't mind seeing her cautiously filling the sink, preparing a strainer, and intensely draining the hot water either. Intensely draining the hot water either.
いいなそれ。私も見てみたいのよさ。
Okay. Unfortunately, I doubt she'll do that twice.
それは湯切りの話でしょ。別の方法だったらいいのよ。
What? Makina lightly jumps off the couch, floating a diabolical grin.
ユミちゃんを待ち伏せして驚かしてやればいいのよさ。
What are you saying?
面白そうだけど、榊さんをひどく怒らせることになるんじゃないのかな。
Just as Sachi says, when you consider the aftermath, trying a stunt like that in Sakaki seems like a very dangerous plan.
私だけでやるから大丈夫なのよ。バレないようにやるから平気なのよさ。
But Makina's malicious curiosity seems to outweigh her awareness of the risk.
さっち、そろそろ帰ってくる。
はい、あと2分ほどで玄関に到着します。
Intelligence arrives from our detached unit, namely Sachi.
これであとはターゲットが近づくのを待つだけなのよさ。
Is this really going to work?
万全なのよさ。お兄ちゃんはそこで高みの見物を決め込んでおけばいいのよ。
Just as Makina says, I'm hidden near the hallway observing the scene.
ユミコが驚くこととか本当にあるのかしら。
ってなんでチルチルもいるの？
いいでしょ、気になるから来ただけよ。
Sakaki climbs her way up the stairs, approaching the second floor hallway. In that instant, Makina calls out instructions into her cell phone.
今なのよさ。
At Makina's signal, Sachi cuts the breaker to the hallway from the other end of the phone call.
何？
Sakaki is taken aback for a brief moment.
停電？困るわね。
But her voice quickly regains its usual steadiness. Once again, her footsteps ring out in a regular rhythm.
おそらくターゲットはそのビビリの性格ゆえに停電で真っ暗闇になった今はきっと神経を張り巡らせているはず。
Right as Sakaki approaches the door to her room, Makina presses the switch in her hand.
何？
Sakaki twirls around at the odd noise, but finds nothing more than a flower pot sitting demurely on a nearby shelf. In their unremarkable earthenware pot, there's nothing but a small decorative plant. Sakaki sighs in relief after discovering the innocuous origin of the strange sound. But she hasn't taken her eyes off the house plant yet.
でもそれゆえに一度安心すると普段以上に緊張が緩むのよさ。
As Makina whispers these words, she presses the switch a second time. Just then, The perfectly normal houseplant abruptly splits in two down the middle. From its depths, an object resembling a giant eyeball emerges. Although it might be different under bright lighting, seeing this thing pop out at you in the dark must be something of a shock. As expected, Sakaki freezes dead on the spot, her eyes and mouth open wide. Something that might be an attempt at speech and might be a simple gasp leaks out of her mouth. After a moment, she draws in a great breath of air. And in a loud voice that I never could have imagined emerging from Sakaki's mouth, she screams. The sound echoes throughout the dorm. It's not just that she's loud. Unlike her normal low, vaguely threatening tone, Sakaki's voice right now is remarkably girly. Although I feel a little sorry for Sakaki as he trembles in terror, this is a truly interesting spectacle.
Yuuji-chan, マジ驚きじゃない。どれどれ、どんな顔してる？エッチな顔とかしちゃってる？
あんた鬼だわ、本当に。
ちょっとチルチル、もうちょっと見せてよ。
あ、ちょっと押さないでよ、マキナ。
Losing their balance, Maki and Michiru tumble from their hiding position, landing in front of Sakaki. At this point, Sakaki finally grasps the nature of the situation.
ヤミコ、どうしたの？停電しちゃったみたいね。
急な停電だったからびっくりしたのよさ。
Just then, Sachi returns with exquisitely bad timing.
やりましたね。お見事です。作戦は大成功。
After adding some exquisitely unhelpful lines, she clamps her mouth shut. Yumiko looks around the faces of everybody on the scene and then glances down at herself.
どういうことかしら。
The tone of her voice has completely returned to normal.
いや、これはね、ちょっと理由があって。
チルチルがやろうって言ったんだよ。
おま、濡れ衣。
チルチルも楽しんでたんだから同罪だよ。粛々と無所暮らしするがいいのよさ。
だったらあんたも罪を償えよ。私一人悪者でしょ、今の言い方。
そう。何が目的かわからないけど、あなたたちが仕組んでいたのね。報復は覚悟の上ということでいいのね。
落ち着いてください、榊さん。
ユミちゃんが怒った。
なんで私の方めがけて追っかけてくる。ちょっと、いやー。
As the perpetrators scatter around the dorm, Sakaki tracks down Michiru. There's murder in her eyes. She's waving her box cutter around like the incarnation of wrath. Where did the person who let out that cute scream go? Don't think she's going to calm down anytime soon. Turning my back on the violent turmoil taking place on the upper floor as I head downstairs by myself. Huh. Yo, you're up early.
誰かさんに下劣なドッキリを仕掛けられないよう早めに学校へ行くことにしたのよ。
After that, Sakaki caught the criminals and beat the details out of them as they groveled in penance before her. As a related party myself, I was called before her to receive my own interrogation. In the end, she heaved a truly exasperated sigh and, without any particular retaliation, returned to her room with heavy footsteps. Good idea. Don't know about Sashi, but Makina and Michiru are probably still asleep. Sorry. Sakaki reaches her hand into the pocket, presumably containing her box cutter, glaring reproachfully at me. I raise my hands dramatically over my head in an attempt to demonstrate my lack of hostile intent. In response, Sakaki sighs deeply, passes by my side, and strides off quickly in the direction of the school building. Whoa. So, mind if I ask you something?
これ以上私に何の恥をかかせる気なの？
As I follow a few steps behind her, Sakaki answers my question with her own, her voice hardened with an attempt at intimidation. I'm not looking to tease you or look down on you. It really is just a question.
分かったわ。じゃあ手短に言ってちょうだい。
Did you know everybody had a late night gathering in the lobby 2 days ago?
そうみたいね。
So she was aware of it after all. If you knew about it, why didn't you join in? From what the others told me, you don't particularly dislike that sort of event. If me being there made it awkward to join in, could you say why? I need to know before I can try to correct my behavior. I'm querying an alien existence in this school, much less the dorm. I don't intend to trample on the native people's territorial rights or the dignity of their culture. Not that I plan to be particularly submissive either, but still. As much as possible, I'd like to aim for peaceful coexistence, meaning I need to understand the boundaries I shouldn't cross. For that reason, I want to know why Sakaki absented herself the other day. Especially if it's connected with me in some way.
別にあなたに直してほしいところがあるわけじゃないわ。
Okay, in that case, why? In response to my question, she hesitates for a moment. Rather than being uncomfortable about speaking her feelings to me, I get the sense that she's reluctant to admit the truth to herself. After a silence of about 20 seconds, Sakaki finally speaks.
私、怖い話とか嫌いなのよ。
Truly unexpected words. What did you say just now?
そんなに意外そうな顔を向けないでくれる？
Apparently my face is easy to read as Sakaki reproaches me with a resentful expression.
あなたの言う通り、別にあそこに集まったりするのが嫌なわけじゃない。けど、いいでしょ？人には苦手なものだってあるんだから。
Judging from the way she got scared by the sound of a sink denting and the dramatic success of the prank yesterday, I did gather she was your standard scaredy cat, but... It just feels weird hearing her actually come out and admit it. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. It just seems really out of character.
あなたに直してほしいところが一つできたわ。
What?
その無神経さよ。 少しは人に気を使ったらどうなの？
After Sakaki speaks those words, she makes a beeline toward the school building without stopping or looking back again. From her dignified bearing, there's not the slightest hint of the person who shrieked at that prank. Guess I should just leave the salon from now on. As the first step toward mending my apparent insensitivity, I decide to refrain from teasing her further. At any rate, through this incident, I've discovered that even this stone-faced cutter woman has her cute side. Yay. Well, fine. Bye.